Hello everyone. So let's talk about the next topic of chapter 4, that is parts subjected to unsymmetrical bending. So first let's understand the process of bending in a symmetric beam. So this is a beam. It is in XY plane. The length of beam is along the x-axis and this shows the cross section. So this is the XY plane and moment is acting about z-axis. So let's understand with this help of this bottle. So this is the and this is considered this is a beam and x-axis is along the length and perpendicular that is y-axis. Okay, and if we see its cross section, there will be y-axis like this and z-axis like this. Now when the moment about z-axis is acting, it is trying to bend the beam this way. So now look at this cross section. This cross section, when we look at it, this cross section tries to bend like this. Okay, so what will happen to the cross section is it is trying to rotate like this. Okay, so when we'll see the cross section, it is trying to bend about z axis. It is trying to rotate about z axis. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. And so this is the situation which we are dealing with. Okay, this is the y-axis, z-axis. So in this beam we can apply the flexure formula. Okay, this is the beam with symmetric cross section and the loading was in the plane of symmetry. The y, and this is the plane of symmetry. The y-axis represents the plane of symmetry, and in this case the beam was bent applying the moment mz. Okay, so we can apply this flexural formula. This we have already seen, that is sigma by y is equals to m by I is equals to E by R. So sigma x, why sigma x? Because along the length of the beam the stresses will be developed. When this mz is acting, what will be the stress profile? It will be something like this, such as this is neutral axis. Above the neutral axis there will be compression and below the neutral axis there will be tension, because this beam is trying to bend like this. So in the lowermost fiber there will be tension, uppermost fiber there will be compression. Okay, so this is the stress distribution. All right, so sigma x is the that's why we have taken a negative sign over here. So sigma x is the stress acting on the cross section in x direction. Y is the distance of any point from the z axis. What is y? This y is the distance of any point from the z axis. All right. Mz is the moment acting about z axis, and Izz in moment of inertia, and Izz is the moment of inertia, okay, about z axis. E is the modulus of plasticity of the material, and R is the radius of curvature of the beam. All right, so let's now consider the moment of stresses which are acting on this cross section about the y-axis, which is the axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's take moment about y-axis. So y-axis, the stresses which are acting along the x-axis will be perpendicular, will be coming out or going inside of this cross section, will depend upon the neutral axis. Above the neutral axis we'll see that stresses are going inside, and below the neutral axis the stresses will be coming outside, that is this profile will be generated. Okay, so uh, how we will calculate the moment of forces about y-axis? The moment will be calculated by simple this equation, that is my is equals to integration of sigma x into dA. So sigma x, that is the stresses, when multiplied by area will give the force, and that force multiplied by distance, that is this distance is z. Okay, force multiplied by this distance will give you the moment. So let's put the value of sigma x from here. we'll get this, and when we integrate it over the surface, over this entire area A, we will get mz by izz is a constant, and integration of yz with respect to dA over the entire area will give you, this is very familiar term with, and this will give you Iyz. What is Iyz? Iyz is the product moment of inertia. Okay, and what is Izz? It is simple moment of inertia. Okay, so this is now, since Iyz, and we have assumed that y is the axis of symmetry, therefore Iyz will be equals to 0. Since Iyz equals to 0, therefore we are able to apply this flexural formula. Okay. Now what will happen when Iyz is not equals to 0? When Iyz is not equals to 0, then how will we be able to determine the stresses, that is normal stresses in the beam due to bending? Okay, so let's talk about this. Suppose there is a case when Iyz is not equals to 0. Okay, then in that case, sigma x cannot be determined by the help of flexural formula. When we are able to apply this flexural formula, when the product moment of inertia about the symmetric axis is equals to 0. Okay, when this is not equals to 0, we will not be able to apply the flexural formula. So what we will do in that case, we need to find a different route to arrive at a stress distribution in the cross section. Okay, and it will happen when we have a cross section something like this. This is an angle, this is the L cross section. Okay, and it's we are seeing the cross section. This is y-axis, z-axis, and here lies the centroid. Okay, so when in this case Iyz is not equals to 0. Okay, it will be difficult to find the stress distribution in cross section by the flexural formula. It will not give us the correct answer. Okay, so now our objective is to determine the stress distribution, that is sigma x, in case of bending when Iyz is not equals to 0. All right, so how we will do this? In order to do this, what we can do is, we can find out the directions. We can find out the directions where we have Iyz equals to 0. Within this cross section, we can find out some directions other than this axis system. We can find out directions along which the value Iyz becomes equals to 0, and those directions we'll denote by some, let's say this is some arbitrary direction. This is u, this is v. So along this uv, this Iyz will be equals to 0. Okay, since this is not a symmetric section, we won't this is not a symmetric section, there is no plane of symmetry, this Iyz will not be equals to 0. So we will not be able to apply the flexural formula. So how we will determine the stresses? We will determine the stresses by finding a particular direction in which Iyz will be equals to 0. Okay, and those directions will be called as principal directions. Principal directions. So what are principal directions? Principal directions are those directions along which Iyz will be equals to 0. Okay, when this Iyz will be 0, then we will be able to use the flexural formula. Alright, so how we will do this? So to determine the principal directions, let's take a general cross section. This is a general cross section. This figure represents a general cross section in which we have y direction and z direction, and let's say that we take Let's consider two other directions, that is u and v. See, these will be perpendicular to each other. Okay, uh, and these are inclined at an angle alpha with the positive z-axis. Okay, this is u, this is v, and it is inclined with z-axis at an angle of alpha. Okay, so from geometry we can say that u is equals to z cos alpha plus y sin alpha, and v equals to minus z sin alpha plus y cos theta. How we came to this equation? It is very simple. Let's understand this. This is an axis system AB. We rotated this axis system AB by some angle theta. Okay, so by the help of geometry, let's first take this elemental area dA. Okay, and this area, by considering these two triangles, this triangle, this right angle triangle, and this right angle triangle, we can say that b dash equals to this, and we come to this equation b dash equals to b cos theta plus a sin theta. Similarly, by taking this right angle triangle and this right angle triangle, we can say that a dash will be equals to minus b sin theta plus a cos theta. Similar thing is done over here, and we came to this equation. Okay, now let's find out the moment of inertia about the axis u. Okay, here we will be taking some elemental area dA. What will be uh, moment of inertia about the axis u? Iu will be nothing but distance v square, this distance v square integrated over the area A, okay, into dA, right? So we'll substitute the value of v in this equation from over here. Okay, and when we resolve this, we come to the equation Iu is equals to Iz plus Iy by 2 plus Iz minus Iy by 2 cos 2 alpha minus Iyz sin 2 alpha. Okay, and similarly we take the moment of inertia about y-axis. So what, how we will determine that? Iv is equals to integration of u square about y-axis. We'll take the moment of inertia of this dA. Okay, and distance is this distance is u and this distance is v. Okay, because we are measuring in this direction. So IV will be integration of u square dA over the area A. Again, we will substitute the value of u from this equation in this, and by simplifying it, we will get IV is equals to this equation, and IU will be this equation. Okay, and see, this is very similar to the stress invariance which you might have studied in strength of materials while studying the Mohr circle. So by this, if when we add IU and IV, this things get cancelled, and ultimately we are left with Iz plus Iy on the right hand side and Iu plus Iv on the left hand side. So this says that the sum of moment of inertia is constant in a cross section. Okay, since Iu plus Iv is equals to Iy plus Iz, this shows that the sum of moment of inertia about any cross section remains constant irrespective of the directions. Now we determine the moment of inertia Iu and Iv. Now let's see what happens to the product moment of inertia, that is IUV. Okay, this is IUV. Alright, what will be the IUV? It will again the multiplication of U into V into dA over the area A. Okay, we'll put the values of U and V by solving it with the help of trigonometry. We arrive to this equation that IUV will be equals to Iz minus Iy by 2 sin 2 alpha plus Iyz cos 2 alpha. This is the equation of product moment of inertia. Okay, so now what we'll try to do, we'll look for the direction about which the product moment of inertia becomes zero. Our objective was to determine any direction about which product moment of inertia was equals to zero. So we'll equate this equation equals to zero. When we take this to left hand side, we find this angle, that is tan 2 alpha, sine upon cos will take one side and this over other side, so we'll get this equation that tan 2 alpha is replaced by alpha 1. Okay, and this will be our equation for tan 2 alpha 1. Alpha 1 is nothing but the angle of rotation of the new axis with respect to positive z axis. Okay, now we have direction alpha, which will make the product moment of inertia equals to 0, and hence now the flexural formula can be used to determine the stress distribution. Let's try to understand what we have studied so far with the help of this simple example. Okay, this is a general cross section which I have taken. These are the axis systems, that is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, and we have taken the principal directions u and v, okay, which is at an angle of alpha with respect to positive z-axis. Okay, now the principal directions of the cross section u and v are inclined at an angle alpha with z-axis, and if the bending moment is acting on xu plane, then we can use the flexural formula directly to determine the stresses. If the bending moment is acting in this plane, this is xu plane. Okay, so if the bending moment is acting in xu plane or a load is acting in xu plane, then we will able to determine the then we will able to use the flexural formula directly. Why? Because IUV equals to 0, that the product moment of inertia is 0 along this axis. Okay, let's see this again. If we apply the moment along xz axis, if we apply the moment along xz plane, we won't be able to use the flexural formula directly, because Iyz is not equals to 0 in that plane. So if we have bending moment about z axis, okay, if we draw this, that is bending moment is about z axis, this is mz, okay, and this is taken as positive. Why? According to right hand screw rule. Okay, if I point my thumb in the positive z direction, then the direction of my fingers will give the direction of moment, and it will be taken as positive. Okay, so this is the bending moment acting along the z axis. Now this bending moment can be resolved into two components. That is, these are our principal planes which are inclined at an angle alpha. Okay, so we'll get two components, mu and mv. So mu is also positive and mv is also positive. Okay, so since angle alpha is over here, so we will get mu is equals to m cos alpha and mv is equals to minus mz sin alpha. Why it is minus mz sin alpha? Because this is minus v direction, and since the uh, angle of the direction of mv is in this direction, okay, because positive y-axis is over there and mv is in this direction, that is taken as positive. So naturally in the negative axis this will go in opposite direction, so it has to be taken as negative. Okay, since mu and mv are acting on planes of symmetry of cross section, so we can apply the flexural formula. Previously we had only one bending moment, acting along the z plane. Okay, and since it was along the plane of symmetry, we used flexural formula directly. Now we did not have the plane of symmetry, and the bending moment was still acting in z direction. So what we did is we determined the principal axis, we determined the principal directions along which the product moment of inertia would be equals to 0, and along those directions we resolved our original bending moment, and those directions which we will along those directions we will apply our flexural formula and determine the stress. So this is how we are going to apply the flexural formula, that is uh, sigma x will be equals to minus mu by iu into v. Why this is minus? Because mu will produce a compressive uh, s- stress, okay, and mv will produce a tensile stress. Okay, that's why this is taken as negative and this is taken as positive. So this is how we are going to determine the stresses. So in conclusion, let's go through the steps how to determine the stress. So first calculate two principal directions of the cross section u and v, for which IUV equals to 0. What is IUV? It is the principal moment of inertia. It is the product moment of inertia. Okay. Then second step will be to find out the bending moment along the directions u and v from the given bending moment. We calculated mu and mv with the given bending moment. This would be given to us. Okay. And then the third step would be to use the flexural formula to get the stresses. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. We'll understand this in more detail with the help of example in the next lecture. Thank you.